welcome to the show. It is a little bit late, I know. Sorry, we were just gassing in the background and just, oh, blimey, we're supposed to be doing a show. So here we are, episode 248 is the first one of 2025.
Yay!
Got off to a cracker. Today feels like Tuesday for some reason. Well, I know exactly the reason, because I started back to work yesterday and it felt like Monday. So today feels like Tuesday, and now it's a Friday and I'm doing this. I'm thinking, ugh. So I need the weekend to, I think, to properly reset. But anyway, we're here for 2 hours. And we haven't got a lot of stuff to talk about because it's New Year and all that. So we will be testiculating a lot, I think, over the next couple of hours. But we've got some things that we can discuss. There's a couple of new products, and we've got a topic that we do every New Year's first show of the new year, which is what do we think is going to happen over the next 12 months in terms of music technology and synthesizers. So if you have an opinion on that, do store it and save it, and then we can ask for your input at the appropriate time. We've also got Synthspirations, first of 2025, which we'll be showing to you at some point during the show. And then, yeah, that's kind of it, really. So let's get all the boring stuff out of the way. And I will now talk a little slower because we've got to eat up time. So first of all, the first thing I always ask you to do, if you could, it would be fantastic. Give us a like, give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down during the show. That makes a difference, so I'm told. But if you're watching after the fact, still do it. But yeah, if you can give us a nice thumbs up, that would be really, really nice of you. If you want to comment during the show, then of course you can during the show using the YouTube chat page or the Facebook comments or TikTok as well, because we're broadcasting on all three of those platforms. You can also give us, you can comment if you're watching in the future, you can comment down below using the comment section. So you can do that as well. If you haven't already, do please give us a subscribe. We've had a nice little surge over the last few weeks. I think more and more people have been finding us, which is very nice and good to see. But if you subscribe, of course, what that means is you get notifications of when we're going live and any other content that we post on the channel. You will get advanced notice of that. And of course, if you know people that would like to watch the show or maybe aren't aware of it, share us around, share the link. It would be fantastic to get more and more people signing up and watching this inane rubbish for 2 hours on a Friday evening or an afternoon or a late morning, depending on where you are in the world. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe and share. That will be lovely. Thank you very much. If you want to support the channel, and we are completely supported by our audience, we are not for profit. Every penny that we make gets ploughed back into the channel to pay for all the fees, the licenses, the hardware, and enables us to also take the show out on the road to various synthesizer shows in the UK. We'd love to have an international presence, but that hasn't happened yet. You never know. But if you want to support us, you can do that in a number of ways. Probably one of the best ways to do it is to join us on Patreon, where it's a minimum $2 a month, and that gets you access to all sorts of goodies. For example, let me show you what we've got at the moment over on our Patreon page. Let me just add that to the stage. There we go. So as you can see, we've got a sale on our merch, which I'll be coming to in just a little while. Yay. We've been adding all the Synthspirations videos. So you've got there's Carl Bedford, there's Keith in Watford, Robert St. John from Cherry Audio. You've got Carl Bate there, Kissing the Machine, a.k.a. Sean, Mickey Dodds, our friend Justin Have You, Peter James Stephen, and the special introductory one from Michael Myers, which was a good laugh. It's worth seeing.
That was a cracker.
It was. All of those are available in isolation over on the Patreon page, along with things like presets for your Cherry Audio P10 from the wonderful James Dyson. Also from James Dyson, presets for the GX80 from Cherry Audio. We've got Synthspiration stuff. We've got Benj playing his ARP 2500. That's an exclusive on the Patreon. We've got some old geezer there talking about an old synthesizer. But that was exclusive to Patreon. There's more old geezer talking about ELZ1s from Sonicware.
You have to take the wheat with the chaff here. That's the thing.
Yeah. But it's worth it. And loads more video content and sounds for your synthesizers. We've got software synthesizer patches. We've got hardware synthesizer patches. It's all on there. And all you have to do to access that is donate or pledge to subscribe $2, $2 a month. You can also join us as a YouTube channel member, exactly the same. $2 a month minimum. You get all of that content as well. So either way, whichever way you want to support us, we don't mind. We're super grateful that you do, and you don't have to. It's completely non-committal, non-obligatory, non-mandatory, whatever word you want to use.
And are there any other ways to donate?
Well, there is one.
Is there?
There is one way you can also help us. It's not that one. It's this one here. We've got merch.
Oh,
and you can buy merchandise from the store.
Wow.
Let me show you our store, because right now is a really good time to get into the merch thing, because we've got a solid 15% off everything. Everything in the store is 15% off for the month of January. It's our January sale. So if you want one of those really smart hoodies, 15% off. If you want a t-shirt, we've got basic tees, which are a little cheaper, and we've got premium tees, which are a little more expensive, but they're sort of thicker fabrics and stuff. We've got sweatshirts, we've got hoodies with the printed logo on, or the embroidered logo. We've got mugs and hats and bags, phone cases, polo shirts, rain jackets, leather jackets, denim jackets. We've got the bleeding lot, baseball caps, badges, etc., etc. So all of that stuff there right now. We've even got a Christmas jumper, so you can get that now, 15% off, and then stick it in the attic for next
Out of
Christmas.
interest, could we put me in there? Then I can buy me back 15% off, because after Christmas I need to lose at least 15%.
Well, we do have the cartoon you.
Oh,
There you go.
that's thinner than I really am. Oh my
You
goodness!
can have that in many different colours. I quite like the orange or the black. And
Where's you and Kent? I want to see those. Go on.
the Kent one is actually the most popular one. I don't know why.
It's because he's cool as Shaker. That's why.
There's
Look
Kent
at
with
that.
all his pups. And it doesn't look like Hans Zimmer in the background. It looks a bit more like Robert Fripp. But hey,
It does, yeah.
Either way. And then I'm in there, little chubby fella with his glass of wine. There he is. Ding Dong DX7.
Ding dong DX7. Ding
There you
dong.
go. With modular in the background, because that's what I'm all about. But there you go. Loads of merchandise, and thank you to everyone that has ordered so far. And we really appreciate it. We get a tiny slice of that that helps us with our stuff. And so 15% off everything right now through the month of January. It will end on January the 31st, or probably February the 1st, when I remembered, oh my God, it was yesterday. So you've got a few days to get in there and buy some merch if you want to do that. You can also follow us on all of the, or most of the social media networks. So we're on, what are we on? Threads, TikTok, Facebook, Blue Sky, Twitch, Instagram. We're no longer on X, or whatever he calls it, because we just can't stand the place. It's a vile dustbin of depravity and idiocy. So we decided to come off of that. But we're on all the other stuff, We don't do much on socials, but we're there if you want to pester us on there. If you are looking to ask a question today, whether it's on a topic we're discussing or just something you want to bring up in general that is related to music technology and synthesizers, stick a big capital Q in front of your question in the chat, and we will get to you as soon as we possibly can. And ladies and gentlemen, I think that is the end of the announcements, the housekeeping.
Yay!
There we go. So let's crack on with the show. The disjointed voice you heard there in the background is your friend of mine. It is Mr. Andrew Longhurst. Hello.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year to you. Did
And
you have a good one?
I did. It was a very good Christmas, New Year. Very, very, very relaxed, laid back. Everyone else was ill. We weren't. That was great. But sorry, I just have to point out in the chat, we could mention all of you, and there's a lot of really good people in here. Hi, Synth Samuel, good to see you here, and it's really good to see Symptoms of Reality in the chat. But special mention has to go out yet again to Peter Tatchell's Irrelevant Coffee Table. I mean, that's just
Best
the
name
best.
out there. Yeah, best name.
That's just the best. That's just the best. So, yeah, no, it's all good. It's all good. Had a really good Christmas, New Year, and lots of plans for this coming year. Lots of stuff to go up onto Patreon. Lots of new things coming. And what about you? Did you have a good one?
Yeah, it wasn't so bad. It was pretty quiet. The kids both went out, or the ones that are still at home, both went out with various friends and partners, and one of them came back more worse for wear than the other. My son, my youngest son, who is 19 now, he'll hate me for saying this. I don't know if he's watching, but he fell asleep on the toilet at 5 o'clock in the morning. So I went upstairs and I thought I could see the bathroom light on, and I thought, I wonder if he's all right. So a couple of minutes passed, nothing. So as I got closer to the bathroom door, I could hear this, and I thought, oh, he's fallen asleep on the floor or in the bath, or we've all done that, I'm sure. So I knocked on the door, didn't get a response. I thought I was getting a little bit concerned now. So I opened the lock from the outside, and he's just literally slumped, head between his knees, knuckles dragging on the floor, snoring his arse off on the toilet.
Special prize to that man.
Absolutely.
Special prize to that man. And talking of that man, is there another that man there?
There is. He's going to get put into the late book. Nice man.
What do you want now?
You.
What kind of person have this bleeding coffee in peace?
Oh,
for Christ's sake.
I've got
How are you,
coffee
sir?
today.
Oh, cold.
Cold?
Really, really fucking cold.
Well,
I've only just turned the 80 on.
Yeah, I know. You've got your own personal radio.
It's getting there, but it's been bleeding cold today. Yeah.
How was your New Year?
Oh, there was one.
There was.
Oh, okay.
I mean, technically, it's just the next day.
Okay.
Changes.
Yeah, right, yeah. I had a
Same
delicious Wednesday, apparently.
Lovely.
Yeah, so I had as much fun as watching an episode of Mrs. Brown's Boys.
Oh, God.
Mind you,
Don't.
I've had just as much fun sticking my genitals into a bloody Ninja air fryer in comparison. So, yeah, basically. So, everybody okay? Everybody sort of like...
Yeah, we're still here.
Yeah. Well,
Nothing's changed.
I didn't think there was enough pain in my life, so I got the Rolly Seaboard out again. And yeah, it's nice starting from scratch. So I've got.
Are you liking it anymore now, Ken?
I am, because now I feel like a 5-year-old doing flute practice rather than a 4-year-old. And it sounds like it as well.
Progress, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and now I'm addressing the fact why Cubase doesn't accept any MPE information whatsoever, regardless of what you tell it. So that's something that's got to be addressed. And just like I said to you earlier, Rob, about there's plenty on the net of people going, why doesn't my Cubase respond to the MPE? And of course, Steinberg have gone, oh, look, pretty bird in the sky. Look. But next to a pretty cloud, they're doing nothing about it, and everybody's just trying to get it to work, and it's not. It used to, doesn't now. So,
isn't that bizarre?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really bizarre.
Like I said, MPE is a form of communication from hardware to software and hardware to hardware. What it does, half the manufacturers don't seem to give a shit. They just, well, there you go, it's a feature. You can work out how it's supposed to work.
But it's quite a dense amount of data, isn't it? Is it still running essentially at 32 kilobits and just a serial thing, or is USB speeding that up? What's the story? Do we know?
What I'm seeing from at least the Cubase point of view is it isn't working at all. I've managed to actually lock up my Mac Studio by playing too many keys on the Rolly at once. So I'm assuming what port you plug it into is also quite important. They recommend using Bluetooth, and I'm going, are you sure about that? I mean, there's a lag on Bluetooth as it is, without having to pump that much data
Widdy?
through the atmosphere. There's
Oh,
no.
don't get him started
No,
back on
there's,
Woody again.
no, because there isn't really a port on a Rise port.
Oh, right.
Widdy, unless they're doing USB-C now.
I wonder if there's a way of retrofitting the Rise with that Widdy chip.
That's an interesting idea.
I would have absolutely no idea. I'm just
No, I
throwing it
wouldn't.
out there.
Yeah,
But
but a lot of people are recommending that you use the Bluetooth instead of the USB, which is fine. But
Do you know, that's absolutely
lag.
right. That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to be covering this. What do we think's coming in this year? And it would be a shame if Widdy wasn't starting to ship with things that are MPE certainly, but other synths as well. It seems like a missed opportunity if they don't. But
but there's certainly something awry somewhere because
yeah, it's next to your right leg. You said there's a Rise somewhere.
yeah. Oh, just ignore him. He'll go away. Even this girl, PB12.
Yeah.
Nah.
Oh,
nah.
talking of which, I've got to do this. Have you noticed I'm wearing a slightly different colour T-shirt today?
yes, you are.
Yes.
What have you got
I
on?
did-
Cream Dream.
This was
Okay.
sent to us, or sent to me. See, look, PB12.
I had a couple of them when I was
By
younger.
who?
This was sent to me by Synth Samurai. And I just dropped my
Nicely done.
armor. And we sent him one of our shirts, which he wore on his stream last night, in return. And by the way, gents, if you want a T-shirt from the Synth Samurai store, let me know what your sizes are and what you want. And he has said that you can have one too.
That's really
It's
kind.
very generous.
I will certainly be paying that a visit, but that's really kind of him.
But,
Does he do marquee size?
Oh, this is very generous.
Generous.
It is generous. But these are the same sizes of shirts that we offer. So I think we use the same platform. But here is Synth Samurai in his shirt. This is great.
Brilliant.
So there he is.
Oh, I love the knife.
Yeah. And the axe. Wow. So there you go. We did a shirt exchange of peace, shall we say.
Shirt exchange. Good stuff.
So yeah, it's always what footballers do at the end of a game, isn't it?
Football
So
matches, yeah.
we thought we'd do the same. So yeah, go and check out.
And what a
Synth
great
Samurai's
way to
channel.
start 2025.
Absolutely. So there we go. Right, we do have some stuff to talk about, so we can take our time in doing that. We've also had a bunch of questions. I also need to, before I do anything else, I need to thank our
Mods.
moderators. That's the one. So that's Andrew Brooks, Andy Synth Addict, and of course Ben from Musings. I've seen Andy Brooks in the chat. I'm not sure if I've seen anyone else, but they generally pop in. There's at least one of them doing the rounds, swinging their truncheon. Who misses.
Well,
I think that's definitely the case
conversations.
with Mr. Brooks. He loves to walk around swinging his truncheon at anyone that will take it. So
Yeah, I saw that.
he's
video
going to
clip.
love me for that. He's going to love me for that. We love you, Andy. Thanks ever so much for what you do. And by the way, Andy and Grace's latest performance at an EMOM is live on YouTube. Well, not live on you, but it's now on YouTube somewhere. I'm sure Mr. Brooks will post a link. You're more than welcome to do
Andy.
so. To go and have a watch of that. And of course, welcome to everyone else that's in the chat. There's so many of you. I'm not going to go and name you all by names, but you know who you are because you're there. And thank you so much for coming in and joining in. So let's see. We've got some messages. First of all, yeah, it does. First of all, Justin Have you? I'm not sure when Justin, who is a legend in our little mist. In fact, we named 2 items in our merch shop after him, the Justin Have you vest tops. Named in honour of the wonderful Justin Have you. He's become a YouTube channel member, so yay. Thank you for that.
Yay. Thank you, Justin.
Andy Brooks is a moderator, but he's also giving us money. Thank you very much indeed for your donation. Much appreciated. Marilyn from Symptoms of Reality wants to know, when is the Vasquez t-shirt coming? Of course, you've got to watch Symptoms of Reality to get that joke. But
Is that in her voice as well?
yeah, it's got everything is in my head is in her voice.
Is in her voice.
Still waiting for my voicemail message, Marilyn. Thank you very much. Yes, maybe
Don't
we'll
do it, Marilyn.
maybe we'll do
Don't do it.
we'll do some crossover T-shirts if we can
Yeah.
figure out a way of doing it. Maybe we can exchange designs and people can buy both designs on both stores to support the channel they want to support at that particular time. I don't know.
Might
We'll
have to
figure
have an
something.
intervention after a while.
Indeed. And in fact, as we've been talking, Justin Have You, not only has he become a member, he's just placed another order on the store. Thank you very much indeed, Justin.
Well, in that
I'll be
case,
sending you a personal message.
give his
a little
album
bit
a
later.
mention.
His album was EP, yes. Oh, gosh. Let's have a look. Let's see if we can get this up.
Have you not got it ready?
I have not got it ready. Justin
What,
Have
what do you do all day?
Is that the official
don't
Justin
go
Have You
there.
website? Where is it? Staycation is the name, isn't it? Let's see if we can find this. Everybody go out and buy this. Right, okay, today. Please do. Here we go. Here we go. We'll share this tab. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Right, there you go. Let's
There
just
you
turn Vasquez off. There we go. Justin Have You Staycation.
No.
It's a digital. It's an album. I thought it was an EP. I'm so sorry. It's an album. 7 tracks. $7. It's $1 a track. How cool's that? It's available to buy right now. It came out on the 1st. And it was put together as a nice short musical vacation, even though the songs can stand out individually. So yeah, lots of great stuff on there. Justin is an extremely good multi-instrumentalist. In fact, last night he was not only playing keyboards in a little jam session we were both in, he was playing a tenor recorder and a melodica as well. Not at the same time, because obviously that would be I'd pay to
He'd
see
hurt
that.
himself.
I'd
Yeah,
pay
probably-
to see that.
Yeah. But I'm sure somebody will put the link. Actually, I can put the link up in there. What am I saying? I lazy git.
Yeah, put it up. Put it up.
There we go. So there's the link to Justin Have You's Staycation. If everybody bought a copy of that, then he could then buy some more vest tops from us. That would be cool.
Guess what I'm doing now? I told him earlier this because I heard his pre-release track, as it were, and just thought some of his playing and the synth sounds he's got. Just, and I said to him I would buy it. So guess what I'm doing right now?
Now I want to. It's probably not a. I don't know, maybe not a wise idea to say that with this new merch store that we've got that problems do occur, and we did have one problem with a gentleman that brought a T-shirt from us, and they brought it to our attention very quickly, and the store that we used to facilitate sorted him out incredibly quickly, and Pete actually popped in the chat just earlier to say he received the replacement shirt and all is good. So just to give you an idea that customer service does exist, you won't be left hanging. If you have a problem with your item, they get it sorted very quickly.
I'm just letting Mr. Evans in.
Oh, okay, you do that. And also, Pete has become a YouTube member, so thank you very much. You're welcome. Thanks for joining in. Thank you for that. Matt Evans, Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you very much indeed for your donation. Most appreciated. Tracker Jack reckons, I'm sure he's referring to the cutout figure behind you in the T-shirt. Looked a bit more like Espencraft than it did like Hans Zimmer. Interesting.
I always thought it looked like Daniel Craig.
With glasses, yeah. Yeah,
I look like Daniel Craig. Yeah, I'm not surprised. In the trunks, coming out the sea.
Phil in the Synth, thank you very much indeed for your €5.99. That's very generous of you. Thank you very much indeed.
I thought that was Rackle Welsh.
Sorry?
I thought that was Rackle Welsh.
Rackle Welsh.
There's
He was in a
Mr. Evans.
challenging wank. Sorry.
Apollo Hanzo is in the chat. Welcome to the show. Good to have you here. He's asking me what is the best pedal to pair with my Moog Sub 37. Well, I don't have a Moog Sub 37 and I don't have any pedals, but one pedal I know that does work very well with most synthesizers is the Zoom is it the MCR CD70? It's like a multi-effects thing.
That would work.
That's worth looking into. It's got loads of stuff, and you can hack it as well. Kent is losing it somewhat here. I don't know why. Meanwhile, I'll carry on. Peter James Stephen, thank you very much indeed
Was it the pencil sharpener?
No.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much for your donation, Peter.
Thank
Much
you, Peter.
appreciated. See you at some point soon. Well, February, I think, in Norwich, which will be our first show. But yeah, Apollo Hanzo, I think that would be my. I think it's called the CDR, Chorus Delay Reverb 70, by Zoom. Is apparently a very capable unit that can be. Even look at that. Lots of other people. There you go. Lots of other people are saying. Well, I say lots of other people. Andrew is saying it.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, it's a bloody good pedal and can be used across all synthesizers. But I guess it's whatever you want to. Marilyn wants to know what was in your coffee.
No, it's something I can't repeat. Not on PSN.
Okay.
Probably a pub, but not PSN.
Okay. Well, I shall ask you about that post show.
Oh shit.
Sorry, apparently people are taking the mickey because I got all the letters and the numbers mixed up. I don't have one of these things. So it's the Zoom MS70 CDR.
And pedal naming is always a bit, unless it's the Stonk box or the Big
The
Stone.
muff. What's the big muff?
Big Stone describes exactly what it isn't. So, what?
Oh, I got my CDX pedal to fire up yesterday.
Pencil sharpener?
Pedal.
Yeah, the Lexicon 244 pedal.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you got that fired up. What was it?
I'm not quite sure, but I got it fired up, and then it started to smoke quite a bit. So it's not happy. So I'm gonna have to get that professionally repaired because it's SMT and there's a lot of very, very sort of like weird chips on it as well. So I'll have to send that off and get that by them. It's one of those repairs, not a sort of like down the road kind of thing. So.
Talking of SMT stuff, I was watching a video. So my soldering skills are close to zero. In fact, they're probably less than zero.
Mine too.
Yes,
Yeah.
Thank you. The Chase Bliss
Shakespeare, yeah.
CXM 1970.
And I was watching somebody repair something. I was very bored, and I was watching one of these videos, and they're repairing surface mount technology stuff. And I can see why a lot of people say, "No, don't want to do that." And he was applying this looked like a cream of some sort.
Yeah.
And then that goes clear. What is that? Tell me.
It's a flux.
Oh, it's a flux. Okay.
Yeah. And then you can lay the new chip onto the solder, and then it just adheres.
Yes.
And you get a good contact, and then you
Don't
can
you
wipe
need
that
to
away
heat
with
it
alcohol.
with something like a hairdryer or a...
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
you have like a little handheld air gun.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It is actually a great. It's really good to work on, but you must have. It's the same with working with the old vintage. If you're working on old vintage, if you don't have the specific tools,
Pick your headphones up. Oh, you can't. Honestly, what twonk.
Oh,
Right,
what key's
muted.
that? Come on, we'll
I
join
don't
in. Yeah, if you don't have the specific tools, it's hard work, and it's the same with the SMTs. Just that I haven't really got around to buying all of the SMT stuff.
I see. I was completely. I thought, what's he like putting glue on? What's going on here?
Yeah,
So,
it's a great.
Does it take the
shouldn't I be
soldering irons
using
88
panel
miles an hour?
pins then?
No,
Yes.
that's
No panel pins.
No,
Okay.
that's old school, mate. Yeah.
That might explain a lot.
Anyway, it popped into my head, and I thought we've got time to kill today, so I might as well ask that question. So interesting. It's probably something else you'll never do, but good to know. Thank you very much. You learn something every day. Well, so we've had Peter's donation. We've had Apollo Hanzo's question. I'll answer Chris Samurai's question. I will get to that. I've stored it. It's in the cupboard. It will be brought out later on.
You do really.
Oh yeah.
And I think Nick has thrown a couple of things in there. We'll get to those a little bit later too. But let's talk about something that's actually happened in the last 7 days, although most of them we've been either comatose on food or alcohol or both.
Has anything happened?
Yeah, something actually happened yesterday. and it was. Let me just bring this up here. It was this, which I thought was rather nifty.
Not analog. Not analog modeling. A neo hyperactive drum synthesizer. CyDrums.
Those wonderful people at Sonicware, they do not rest on their laurels. This is CyDrums. It's the third instrument that they've done in that, I'm going to call it the Sample Trek form factor, because that was the first one that used it. Or you can just call it the giant Game Boy with the tiny screen. But this is their new instrument. It's an expressive drum synthesizer. There it is. It comes in that. It's a very nice format, I have to say. It does sit in your hands and does feel like a portable games console. It uses the sequencer from the Lo-Fi 12, which was the previous version or the previous model that used this form factor. But this is purely a drum. Well, I say purely a drum machine. You can do chromatic tones and stuff in here as well, but it's primarily a drum synthesizer stroke sequencer, and I think it's fair to say that it's probably aimed at I wouldn't say a broad market. It's probably a fairly sort of narrow market of people who like those kind of really weird, glitchy, metallic-y, sort of synthesized drums. It will cost $499, but there is a special introductory offer for the first 100 units at $399, and they will start shipping at the end of this month, and then general shipment will start about 3 weeks after that. It is an interesting thing, and it uses wavetables and has two velocity and two aftertouch modulation slots per drum, I believe. They call them 4D drum sounds that react, transform, and evolve, using 22 custom-built sound structures for different instruments and for endless sonic possibilities. Lots of effects, flexible routing, 8 tracks on the sequencer, endless creative possibilities, they claim. Lots of more information. It is quite a complicated little, well, I say complicated, it's an in-depth little thing. You've got lots of wavetables, wavefolding. There's these sound structures have kind of got an FM algorithmic feel to them. But yeah, it looks like a pretty crazy thing. Still I haven't got my hands on one yet, so I can't really sort of go into any great detail. But it has a lot going on under the hood for not a huge amount of money, and in a very portable battery or mains powered form factor. Lots of connectivity at the back. So if we have, I don't know if we can zoom in on that. You've got 1/4-inch jacks outputs. You've got 1/4-inch jack inputs, including one of which is a high Z input. You've got full-size MIDI ports. On the top, you've got sync in and out, plus also a headphone socket as well. There's a microphone input, and the reason for the inputs is that you can feed any input through its effects section. There might, I don't know if there's going to be further use of that later on. There's also a built-in speaker, so you can listen to that and annoy the neighbours or your family or whoever else might be listening at the time. But yeah, there it is. It's a very interesting addition. And once again, Sonicware have gone out on a complete limb and done something different and interesting and innovative, and at a very good price. And no Kickstarter behind this one. They've gone straight to production. Yeah, I was speaking with our friend and yours, Chris Dodsworth, a.k.a. Chris Lodi. Speak to him quite frequently, but speaking to him the last few days about this, and he says he's really excited about this. He played me some demos that he's been making for his videos, and this can do a lot. This can actually do not just all those kind of glitched Aphex Twinny type sounds, but it can also do a very respectable kind of 808, 909 stuff. 303 stuff in there as well, and you can sort of run the gamut really. It's an interesting thing. Andrew, I know you got a little bit excited, a little bit moist about the gusset for this one. Are you still of that opinion, or have you looked into it more and thought otherwise?
I have looked into it more, and I've watched the demo. The demo on their site, the one we just saw, isn't particularly helpful, I don't think, in that, and also the name of it, CyDrums. It's all the demos are masking the drums with synths, with leads or basses over the top, and it seems to be able to do a whole bunch of things. I'm not sure it's strictly speaking a drum thing, but I get it. Maybe if they called it a rhythm thing, but maybe that name was taken. But putting that to one side, the sounds I've heard in other demos and things, they're okay. However, the technology they're using, I'm fascinated by it, and I've got a feeling that this is going to be really good for building up essentially percussive instruments that don't exist, that aren't just sounding horribly electronic, but are actually sounding more like sort of ethnic instruments or things for the kind of stuff you hear in Dune as well, those blends of percussive stuff that would be really good to get into. So I really want to get my hands on one and play around with it. I'll have a chat with Chris as well at some point, but I'd like to get my hands on it. I think I'd quite like to try to put together a sound set for this, because it's really interesting, and just the fact that they've gone this completely different way with creating sound, a new sound engine. I like it, and I also like the fact that it's got the pressure, the aftertouch. It feels, from what I've been seeing, it looks like it's also left to right. I'm not sure, as well as pressure down. It feels like there's a bias there for pitch as well. I'm not sure if that's the case or not. But yeah, it's interesting. I'm not sure it's exactly what it says on the tin, but I'm sure it's going to get lots of people moist on the gusset, and I would very much like to play with this.
I think it's one of those things where you really do have to play with one to understand what it can do, because it's difficult to convey things like velocity and aftertouch and how that affects in a 2-minute video. So, but the thing is, when Chris does his tutorials, they're generally about an hour long in the sort of in the loop hop style, and due respect to both those guys, they do great stuff. So I'm expecting that Chris's video will go into a lot more depth, and I'm kind of maybe thinking, well, maybe I'll wait and see what that comes out like. 64 original wavetables built into this thing, each comprising up to 256 single cycle waveforms. So there's lots of sonic sort of possibilities in here. And you can assign up to 2 parameters each to velocity and pressure on the drum pads. There's no mention of sort of lefty-righty stuff going on here. You can have real-time control of dynamics, time and space shifting, all under your fingertips. Ken, can I wake you up and ask you what you might think of this? Any thoughts?
It's like somebody's taken a Volca and tipped a can of Dr. Pepper over it. Isn't it? It's mental. It goes mad, doesn't it? Yeah, I mean, I don't really want to use the stock answer of, it seems quite good, but it's not really for me. And it's not. I mean, I got a corner over there full of things that require lots of button pushing, and I'm going, maybe tomorrow. And there they sit. But yeah, no, I can see the appeal of this. Just not me. But in terms of what it's doing, what we've heard the little bit that it sounds like. Yeah, sounds like. And it's very keen pricing, which is really
Always
what's
is,
really
yeah.
important now.
Yeah, that always is with these guys.
Well, exactly. You know, if that was sort of like teenage engineering kind of pricing, it's sort of like, yeah, maybe not, mate.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
is it white or is it silver?
Silver.
It is silver.
Yeah,
You know, like
yeah.
somebody, I agree with what somebody else said in the chat. You know, you paint something silver, it becomes a classic.
Yeah, it's silver with an orange, right? But the actual, I think it's just the top of the unit is
Yeah.
that kind of silvery shade, and then the base is usually a darker plastic.
It's just amazing what they can stick into one box now.
Oh yeah, and you know, Doctor Endo has
As
done
my
some-
wife said.
Yeah, in your endo. Sorry, Dr. Endo has managed to sort of come up with two platforms here, you know, the Livens and this, where they seem to be able to squeeze more and more into and therefore out of this stuff.
Yeah, but he seems to have done it with quite a small amount of controls on the control surface, which always used to scream out to me like, "Oh, Lord, shift this and control shift and enter bloody 6 and that," you know." But I don't know. It's something deliciously self-contained about it.
Just
Yeah.
keep talking.
Okay then.
Sorry, 'cause somebody's asking how big it
I was
is.
born in Indonesia in 1840. Yeah.
Somebody's asking
okay,
how big it is, and I'm whenever anybody asks me how big is that, Rob, I'm always happy to whip it out and show them.
Yes.
Here it is. So that's the sample track with my WIDI connector in there.
Yeah.
But that's the sample track. So that's how big it is. It's about as big as my face,
That's
And that
2
was-
feet wide, isn't it?
something like that. Yeah,
And that was
But it
quite
sits
an
in the hand.
ingenious little thing as well. Nice
Yeah, I
sounding
mean,
little
soundtrack-
piece of kit, wasn't it?
yeah. I like this, but I tell you what, the more I play with the Lo-Fi 12 the Lo-Fi 12 XT, which is the same form factor as this, but obviously different engine. I prefer the Lo-Fi 12, but this is still good. This is still very good. And then battery on the back, nice little tripod mount. Should you want to use that? But yeah, that's the.
Well, it's a hardware jam godsend, isn't it?
Oh,
really?
absolutely, yeah. But yeah, it's something I always take. I don't go away very often, but I always take one of those with me because it's a kind of an all-in-one thing that you can mess around with. So, so there you go. That's the Sonicware CyDrums. There it is in all of its silvery glory with its orange buttons.
And
It
that's
is-
this week's show, everybody.
And
so,
that's it, that's-
thank you for joining us.
Yeah, you're not far wrong. You're
Yeah.
not far wrong. But yeah, that's
Oh, look,
available
a
to
cloud.
order now. Yeah.
Thing
Available
is,
to order
I've got the the ELZ1 and the ambient, and I have to say, after I got it, I got that close to saying bye bye to the ambient. I just didn't get it, but I spent some time with it, and I've fallen in love with it now. I really, really like it. I really get it, and I think this is going to be one of those. You know, it's an interesting thing. I think it's going to get used for things that people don't even begin to. You haven't even thought of yet, but I want to just get deep and dirty with it. So we'll see where we get with that.
You are.
Yeah, I know.
Let's just bear with me. I'm just trying to line something else up here. Yeah, I'm reserving judgment until I can get my hands on one and have a noodle, and then maybe I'll have a bit more of an idea, I think. But yeah, it's available to order now. First 100 units, $399, and will ship at the end of this month. So in about just under 4 weeks' time. Okie dokie. So that's that. Another bit of news that came out yesterday, and we don't normally cover this sort of stuff, but we shall because we're light on topics. But this piqued my interest because this is a new ADAC converter or expander, shall we say, for any audio interface that includes an ADAC connection. This is new from Ferrofish. I got Paul Artola to thank for this, for making me aware, because I wasn't until then. This is a half width 1U unit. I don't know if it can be rack mounted, so I'm pretty sure it's just a tabletop device. But what this is, if I can find the correct page, that would have been useful. There we go. So this is, well, actually, let me show you the video, because that will save me doing it, and it's probably a lot more interesting than hearing me rattle on about it. Here's the trailer.
Meet the Ferrofish Pulse 8 AE, a versatile 8-channel AD-DA converter for expanding your audio interface or mixer with additional channels of analog I/O. Compatible with all audio interfaces that feature ADAT, the compact Pulse 8 is a great addition to smaller studios and live sound rigs, or as part of a lightweight mobile recording rig. Record your keyboards, synthesizers, drum machines and mixing console, or connect additional pairs of studio monitors and effects units like EQs, reverbs and compressors, all captured by the latest 32-bit ESS converters for pristine, transparent audio quality. At the heart of the Pulse 8 AE is its 8 high-quality balanced TRS inputs and outputs. Seamlessly connect the Pulse 8 to other devices that feature an ADAT connection, such as any of the most popular audio interfaces and mixers, and expand your setup with another 8 channels of high-quality audio in each direction. A second ADAT connection can be used for recording and playback at higher sample rates, allowing you to make use of all 8x8 channels at 96 kHz or 4x4 at 192 kHz. Or you can route signals out to the second ADAT port via the Pulse 8 AE's flexible onboard routing matrix, which offers routing as single channels, stereo pairs, or in groups of 4 and 8. Word clock is provided via internal ADAT and BNC connections for syncing the Pulse 8 with other gear in your studio or live rig, whilst a DSP port ensures the Pulse 8 AE is ready for future updates and added features. Monitoring is made easy by the front panel level metering and built-in headphone port, which offers high quality monitoring of all signals. Each input and output is adjustable in 1 dB steps for matching the Pulse 8's level with other analog equipment, all of which can be controlled via the front panel's simple menu system, as well as remotely via MIDI and USB MIDI. Remote Fish, Ferrofish's powerful remote control for Mac and PC, provides control over everything from input, output and headphone levels, signal routing and the saving and loading of presets. For more information on the Ferrofish Pulse 8 AE, visit our website at syntax.co.uk.
So there you go. That is the blurb, all done. Thank you very much indeed to Syntax UK for the video. So this is, as we saw there, it's a half-width 1U rack mount AD to DA converter with ADAT connectivity. Let's bring this back on screen. There we go. Nice little, very simple front end there with a nice detailed screen in the middle, and then the back is where all the business happens. So you've got 8 balanced ins, 8 balanced outs. You've got word clock. You've got 2 pairs of ADATs. You've got a couple of MIDI ports, TRS MIDI ports, shall I say. USB connector, power connector, and I thought quite ingeniously this DSP stick, which allows you to upgrade the Ferrofish as it requires. So new features can be added just by plugging a stick in the back, which will then obviously give it extra processing power to do the things that you want to do. This retails for €600 for this single unit, which is not bad for that amount of connectivity, and will work with pretty much any audio interface that uses ADAT as a connector. So you can just hook this up to the ADAT ins on the back of your existing audio interface. You've got 2 pairs of the input ports, which is supports the higher speed. So obviously, if you're using 48K, you get 16 by 16. If you're using 96K, you get 8 by 8, and if you're using 192, you get 4 by 4. And you'd have to connect both connectors to do that. Looks like a really nice thing, but do you know? I looked at this and I thought, yeah, somebody's taken a bit of an idea from another company that's been doing some rather good audio interfaces and expander units, and it does kind of look like it's a bit of a blend of the two. But before I get onto that little bit, any thoughts on this, gentlemen? It's a nice little piece of kit to expand your existing setup if you want. Thoughts?
Kent.
Yeah. I don't know.
The voice of experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can see the advantages of it. I'm not exactly, skipping around the rose bush at the price, to be honest.
It's all going to be about the sound, isn't it?
Well,
And knowing
yeah,
Ferrofish, it will be good.
oh yeah. But I mean, it's in a market where people go, well, I could buy this for 600 notes, or I could buy a 120 quid mixer that do the same job for me, kind of thing. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's nice having an access to the optical port, which so many of the puppies have these days. But I don't know if you've got your X32s and all the rest of it, you're already you're pretty much covered.
And as Nick pointed out in the chat, I mean, you can get cheaper. The Behringer ADA 2000, I think it is. They're sub 200 quid.
The 8200 is 139 quid.
There you go.
I think what's interesting about this, and I have been puzzling on it, is that with the two ADAT ins and outs, and if the sound is as good as it, one would hope, then it's a really good way to submix a lot of stuff. But you still need to take advantage of it fully, you need additional ADAT analog to ADAT units, or ADAT to analog units, or whatever. You need something to be able to get into it so you can plug all of your synths in. So that would then work, but you're spending another probably, even with the Behringer stuff, you're spending another 280 quid to give it, to make that all analog. That only gives you 24 inputs and outputs. And that's $1,000 or thereabouts, isn't it? I don't know. I'd have to hear it to know. I mean, it's interesting. It is interesting, but I'm not sure it's 800 quid's worth of interesting.
Yeah,
at the moment,
that's it.
Unless I've missed something.
Yeah.
So
it's
I'm
built
gonna
here,
throw-
isn't it? It's
Yeah.
it's a UK built machine, so it's got to go up against all the crap that comes from trying to build
I
in,
thought it
in
was
this
German.
country.
Sorry.
Ferrofish are German.
Yeah, but it's a locale, isn't it?
Oh, the
But-
distributor. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
a distributor.
So and with all the crap that goes on here now, it's not ideal. So it would have been a lot cheaper if damn well if it was a Chinese company building it in China, it'd be 140 quid.
Which the Behringer is.
There
On
you
all
go.
counts. Indeed.
There you go.
I'm going to bring this. I'm going to bring this into the equation here, because this is what I use. So I have experience of this. Now I've got the Audio Fuse 16 rig, which is, in my opinion, the best audio interface I've ever had, and it's one of the best ones out there at that price range. Now that interface is €1,300. Okay, so it's not a cheap thing. But then they brought these out, the X8 in and the X8 out. Now, I understand this is two half width 1U boxes, 8 outs in one, 8 ins in the other, both doing up to 96 kilohertz. None of those do 192, but I still think 192. I know a lot of people would say, "Oh, well, it is the best."
It's
But
nonsense.
it seemed a little bit excessive. 96 is probably maybe a little too much still. I don't know. But, I mean, I work in 48 mostly anyway. But this gives you 8 ins and 8 outs, albeit in two individual boxes. But if you buy a pair, you're looking at around €650. I think one is about 300 and the other is 350, or around that, depending on where you pick yours up from. The other great thing about this, and it uses ESS converters on this, not 32-bit, but 24-bit. The other useful thing about this is that if you buy the pair, the little orange feet that you see on the bottom of the units actually convert to allow you to bolt these two together to make one single full width 1U rack mount unit. So that's it's a beautiful design, and they work really, really well. They're very, very simple. Now they don't have all of that fancy stuff on the front of the boxes as the Ferrofish one does. in terms of the display. They're very limited in that respect. But of course, these will connect to multiple audio interfaces. But connected to the Audio Fuse 16 rig, then they work seamlessly and they appear in the software.
And
editors
don't these act as an interface for the PC as well, for your PC, for your computer? No,
these are purely.
These are just a mixer.
These are just AD to DA converters that connect via ADAT. So I mean, I could add another pair of these and have because the other thing is with the Audio Fuse 16 rig is that it's got a huge amount of inputs. It's got 16 inputs built into that interface itself, and then 10 outputs, all analog. The other thing that the Audio Fuses have, including the expanders as well as the 16 rig, is that the outputs are DC coupled, and apparently that makes quite a difference for people that are using modular. That's not me, you see, but people that are using modular might actually get a real buzz out of the not buzz, but a kick, should I say, out of the DC coupling on the outputs of those, because
that routes the electrical signal at the voltage it was sent. Is that right?
Yeah, something like that. But it's an added feature.
Yeah, probably.
You're technical.
Yeah. But there are options. There are definitely options.
If it's 1970s, mate.
Yeah, there are definitely options. And I think the Ferrofish stuff has got a very good reputation. And this is a nice little box for £600 to give you 8 ins and 8 outs in one little box. It's not a bad thing, and it comes with the software that allows you to configure, the box itself outside of the interface that you might be using. I like the fact that all the Arturia stuff just works all together in that one environment, which is quite nice. But I admit that the 16 rig itself is not particularly cheap. So
there are lots of options for lots of things. I think what sets this apart and all the Audio Fuse is just simply the sound quality. The quality of the converters and the quality of the audio going through. That's something. If I had more legacy analog synths, proper analog legacy stuff, this is the kind of thing I'd be using. It would be this, because it's you're going to get the quality. But I've heard so many people using Behringers and various others that say they're getting a fantastic sound from them. So the Behringers have got the Midas stuff. The Audio Fuse has got. They're using their own proprietary A to Ds, aren't they?
Well, it's ESS. They're using ESS converters and AKM as well. I mean, it's all, again, it's much of a muchness, really. I guess if you're in the market for just expanding in a small box, then the Ferrofish is really a neat little option. Paul was telling me in the chat earlier, they do rack ears for this. Although it's just that having one of these, I suppose maybe they want to buy you to buy two. But that's what I really liked about the X8 in and X8 out from Arturia, was that you buy them both. They come with a rack ear each and a connecting plate each, and you just flip them over, and it's like four screws, boom, and it becomes a full size 1U rack mount unit. You just slide it in. James here says, hello James, welcome to the show. I'd sooner have AKM for DA and ESS for AD. Well, that's what the Arturia has. The Arturia has AKM for DA and ESS for AD. I don't know if that's the case with excuse me, the Pulse. Let's have a look. Let's have a look through. It doesn't make any mention of it, which is interesting. A dedicated monitoring path via separate ESS DAC. Doesn't make any mention of AKMs, so it's probably all ESS. But there you go.
I'm looking at the 16-channel version of this and of the Pulse, and that's what, 1,300. So it's the same kind of price. As for the Audio Fuse. And I guess that's you're paying for that quality once you start getting to that kind of level, and it's a lovely thing.
I mean,
how important is the amount of world clock drift it has?
Sorry, how important is
the amount of world clock drift it has?
Word clock drift. It's
the
important.
world clock. Yeah.
Word clock.
Yeah.
World clock. It's important. Syncing digital devices together with a common clock is the only way to stop clicks and pops and all that kind of, mostly clicks. It keeps all of the clocks centrally synced to one clock reference, and that can make a really big difference. That can make a really
Well, it
makes
had,
a huge difference.
figures for the world clock drift according to temperature. I just wondered how important the temperature drift was.
Do you know? I don't know, but I know that everything I've got that is digital that I connect, that I want to connect properly. If I want to connect it digitally, I always use word clock. Always.
The Pulse 16, by the way, is just an AD to DA converter. It's not an interface.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you'd still need something on top of that. Yeah, it's a nice little box. I have no need for it though, but
Anywho,
indeed, I just that's about all we've got news-wise. It's just taken us just past the top of the first hour. But yeah, just to reiterate, the Pulse 8 AE compact AD to DA converter from Ferrofish is available now for €600 in your locality, wherever that might be. And if it interests you, then do let us know if you used it.
by the way, I've thrown up another little subject just in case we wanted to talk about it onto the doofer.
How I cooked my turkey on Christmas Day.
Yeah. How big's my turkey?
Okay. Yeah, well, we'll see if we. If not, that might be another long one to part for another show, because we don't know what we're doing next week. I mean, next week we might be bereft of quality news, but let's see. I do want to share this image here because we shared an image of Synth Samurai earlier wearing the ProSynth Network T-shirt. If you missed that, here it is again. Look at that. But we've also had a gentleman I met at Super Booth, friend of the show, a long-time friend of the show, Mr. Ronald Wild, with his baseball cap. Look at that. I expect to see that in Berlin this year. Mr. Wild, thank you very much indeed for that. And, of course, if you want to buy a cap like that or in a different colour, pop along to our merchandise store, which is open now with a solid 15% off everything in store. Everything. Even Kent, we've not 15% off of him. We're still not good.
Ain't that much to go around.
Not a huge amount left.
I'll have to get another dog collar.
So there we go. That is the Ferrofish Pulse 8AE. AE being audio expander, I guess.
Between that and foot pedals, you're not having a good show so far.
No, it's. I've still got hangover from New Year's, so that's my excuse, and I'm sticking to it.
Good one from yesterday.
What else have we got in the chat here? Let's see if we can answer some of these questions in the chat before we go to our Synthspirations of the week.
Yeah.
Nick Howard is always a great one for questions and stuff. So here's his first one for the new year. That's his words, not mine. What synth would you like to see released this year? Well, let's come to that in the last segment of the show, which is our predictions for 2025. So we will come back to that, Nick. Thank you for that. Chris Samurai. Are you any relation to the Synth Samurai? I don't know. Robbie Andrew Kent, what was your favourite style of music to listen to or play? Oh, blimey. Well, Andrew has done his Synthspirations, so we don't want to take too much away from that, because that'll be coming up in a week or two. I keep promising to do mine, but I'm making a list of all mine, and that list is growing longer and longer and longer. I'm thinking I can't fit all of this in. So let's start with Kent, because I know how he likes us to throw to him and ask, what is your favourite style of music to listen to or play?
Well, I'm rather partial to death metal.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Well, I have to be because of Fiona and her mess habit. But anyway, I like playing music where I can actually drift off and fall asleep while I'm playing it.
Okay.
So Vangelis is always good for that. You can just like, and off you go. I don't know, everything, anything. I like me a bit of classical, like me a bit of electro. I like it. It depends what mood I'm in.
This is a good question, actually.
It is.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Is it mood driven? No, sometimes I'll listen to stuff to put me into a different mood.
Yeah.
Like I played a couple of happy tracks this afternoon after being accused of being a miserable bastard by somebody not a million miles away from me. But although it was true, it was very
You
true.
were being a bit
Oh,
mithering.
mate, I was being such a miserable person. It's not a pub.
It was just
Such a miserable person. And yeah, so I played a couple of happier tunes. Equinox Park 5, it always makes me feel happy because I can't know why does it make me feel happy? Oh, because I suppose it's because it's jumpy and bumpy and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And I just think of all the money I made from it. But also things like more in depth, Kate Bush, Peter Gabriel, ELO, other
hello.
stuff. When I'm feeling particularly into it, like Adele, can't knock it. You can't knock some Adele, or Amy Winehouse for that matter.
Oh, I love a bit of Amy. Yeah.
And a bit of Madness, a bit of Supertramp. I'm just all over the shop.
All over the shop.
I like it. I like all sorts of. There's quite a few sort of like rap stuff and dance stuff. Although I don't tend to remember the names of. But no, honestly, I don't remember the names of the tracks or the people. But sometimes they come on. I just see it. Get on with it as well.
Yeah.
Depends. Sometimes I do specialist listening. So, for instance, I will listen to tracks only tracks that have CS80 on them, or only tracks that have polysticks on them, or stuff like that. And just put this sort of like weird and eclectic collection of tracks together because they have it's almost like a game of only connect.
Yeah.
We've got some sort of spurious connection between all the tracks.
Yeah.
So it's everything and anything. I will listen to anything. Anybody who's gone to the trouble of writing a track, I feel that there is the, shall we say, the responsibility to sit and listen to it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Basically. So I don't dislike any tracks at all, apart from maybe the Birdie song. That needs to fuck off and die.
Well, yes. Indeed.
But apart from that, Slade.
And what about you?
You don't
Bobby?
care.
Well, I was going to say, what about you, Andrew? And seeing as I'm the host, I insist you go
Okay,
first.
well,
Well,
there
I
we
came
go.
up with quite an eclectic list, considering I was given no bleeding time
Absolutely,
whatsoever
yeah.
to think about it.
Well, none of
Go,
us have.
Absolutely.
Go.
So, my synthspirations isn't the same as the music, your favourite style of
Okay,
music
that's
to
good.
listen to or play. They're entirely different, and a bit like Kent. There's a lot of stuff. I listen to a lot of classical, some jazz. So I listen to Keith Jarrett. Whenever I'm doing voiceover editing, I just have it very low in the background. The Cone concert, the Tokyo concert, all of those things. They're really good to listen to. And there was a classical thing from back in the 90s called I try to remember the artist, the composer, Brian something or another. He did an album called Jesus Blood Never Failed Me. It's a really odd one. It's not religious, it's not a religious thing. He caught a tramp singing this little song on the street with the background noise, and he just put it on a tape loop to see, started copying it, put it on a tape loop and kept it running. And then he came back to it. It was in a workshop in a university, in a studio, and everyone that was around heard this thing going over and over again, and they were all standing very quietly, a lot of them weeping. And so he composed this whole thing around it, which had Tom Waits on it as well. And it's a difficult listen, but it was fascinating. And I think that's kind of is what interests me. I do listen to anything. I was listening to Dave Bessel's latest thing just the other day. That's absolutely brilliant. I like listening to some of the EMOMs that are out there. Some of them aren't great, but some of them are absolutely astonishing. And I've just just like seeking inspiration wherever I can find it. You know, is it not Baby Thug? The Irish artist, the woman Irish artist who was in Eurovision, she was just astonishing, and the stuff she's been doing just makes you go, whoa, what the?
Yeah.
And I love it. So BT, Brian, is it Brian Tankers?
Brian
Not Brian
Tronto.
Tankers. BT is wonderful. DJ Shadow, I remember when that came out, it blew my mind musically. It just did things, you know, I heard it on headphones, I just went, what the bloody hell? So I'm constantly looking out for new things and new textures and new ways of doing stuff. I like world music, classical, pop. I love pop as well. You know, people give pop a hard time, but it's called pop because it's popular. And there's some people that do it really, really well. And some people that don't. You know, so I will listen to absolutely anything, hinge and bracket, which is fun. So yeah, almost anything, almost anything, and it changes depending on what I'm doing every single day. What about you, Robbie?
Same. I'm anything that just takes my fancy to either suit my mood or to, as Kent says, to change my mood, or maybe I've been inspired by, you know, researching or working on something. I'll go and look, but I was just having a look through my Apple Music recently played list, and this will probably give you an idea of the kind of things that I bounce between. So there's Debussy on there, Romy from the XX, her solo album, Underworld's latest album, Stephen Wilson, Hot Chips, Sleaford Mods, Pet Shop Boys, Thompson Twins, French Horn Rebellion. If you've never checked out French Horn Rebellion, do. Crash Test Dummies, The Cure. Have I said The Cure? I think I said The Cure already. Kate Bush, Tears for Fears, Bronski Beat, Frost. Love that album so much.
Yes, good.
Working Men's Club, New Radicals, Alison Moyet, China Crisis, Human League, Jamie XX, The Darkness, Montel Jordan, LL Cool J. You know, it could be anything.
And the thing is, the music we play is not the same necessarily as the music we listen to.
Oh gosh, no! I couldn't play
think,
anything that's good as any of those.
Acehead may be picking you up on your pronunciation of Debussy.
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 Yeah.
Debussy.
What's wrong with that? I thought it was
I don't know.
Debussy.
Debussy. Anyway, yes. So I will listen. I mean, this just kind of Ty. I've been ribbing Ty about this. This came in yesterday. Elton John's Diamonds.
Ty's favourite.
Yeah. I said he's in denial, basically. But no, I mean, Bob Dylan just recently, just because I saw some trailers for the new Timothée Chalamet movie. But then I'll also listen to soundtrack stuff. So I'll, you know, what was I listening to the other day from a soundtrack? Oh, it's gone now, gone completely. But yeah, I'll just pull anything out. I mean, I love listening to Morricone because I love stuff that he
absolutely
does.
a lot.
Can I do a little trick on screen quickly?
As long as it doesn't involve music.
So I've got a book over Christmas and I've learned how to hypnotise. So Ty, this is for you. When I snap my fingers, right? When I snap my fingers, you'll forget that you are Elton John's #1 fan. It's worked.
We shall see.
We shall see. When we next speak to him, I bet he denies it.
I tell you what. I tell you what does disappoint me when I put a Tomato album on. And yeah,
sorry, I have to do it.
Yeah, no, you have to. It's the law. And you go, you know, the fantastic synths work and everything like that. Yeah, right. A lot of it is actually Mellotron. Shh, don't tell anybody. And then he goes and does something really silly and infantile on it. And you just go, now I'm older. That's just not. Funny.
Have a banana.
It's not funny anymore. Don't do that, mate.
Yeah.
Please.
Do you know, it was on Six Music this morning, which is a national BBC radio station here in the UK. It's been 80s day all day, and because it's Six Music, they're not playing your typical 80s pop chart hits. They're playing other stuff, and some of the stuff that they were playing was I remember, it was so. It's for me, it's very nostalgic because it's connected with obviously your teenage formative years, which is a very powerful thing. But I remember listening to they played Dog Eat Dog by Adam and the Ants, and I remember getting to a point in my life where I just had I was a huge Adam Ant fan. Makeup, clothes, the lot. I did the whole thing. Thankfully, no photos exist, but I did. I was just so into Adam and the Ants for like a 18-month period. But it got to a point whenever I heard Dog Eat Dog or Ant Music or Stand and Deliver, Prince Charming, whatever, it just felt like, oh God. But then listening to it this morning, I kind of remembered how excited I was just laying in bed, and I remember how excited I got. Dog Eat Dog was 1980, so I was 10. How excited I got when I saw that on Top of the Pops and heard those drum rhythms. In actual fact, I played his solo album, Viva La Rock, which was produced by Tony Visconti, and you can really tell it's superbly done. I listened to that recently, and I haven't listened to that for a long, long while. That had a really fresh feeling to it again. But yeah, I mean, I the stuff that I listen to is just so over the place. I can go from Fleetwood Mac to I don't know, Napalm Death. I'm quite happy listening to either or, depending on my mood. And sometimes
Just remember going to see Adam at the Ant. Adam the Ants. I think it was at the Hippodrome.
Yeah.
Did anyone watch? The Hootenanny?
I flicked through it, and I think the best thing I actually thought Boomtown Rats, when they did I Don't Like Mondays, I thought it was a really good rendition of I Don't Like Mondays, because again, that was such a massive.
He sounded no worse than he did when he first did it, and it was heartfelt, and it worked.
Yeah, the thing with when you sound rough as dogs 40 years ago, you can still sound rough as dogs. But yeah, what a great. But I tell you, the people on I don't remember the name of the band. There were 4 guys, and it was
Dead South.
I don't know. 4 guys, Black Hats.
Black Hats, yeah, Dead South.
Banjos.
They are absolutely brilliant. They're Canadian, but they sound like...
That's it. They've
got a track called... I can't remember. It's on YouTube. Go and check them out. Great.
Oh, yeah, absolutely loved that.
And who was the woman, the young woman who started off lying on the floor?
I must have missed that one.
Go and check it. She is absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Another one I missed off that was a bid on Jules a couple of years ago, Billy No Mates. I think she is just incredible.
Stunning, yeah.
Absolutely. And she's brilliant live. She's absolutely fantastic live. Young Fathers is another one that I love listening and watching live as well. They're incredible.
I wonder where you were going with that.
Stephen Wilson is another. He's got a new album coming out soon. I'm going to see him in concert in a few months' time. Fish from Marillion, ex of Marillion. I love early Marillion, Fish era. Just loads of it. And as for playing, I'll play anything. I'll have a go at anything, but generally the stuff that I can sort of blend it. Like, when we sit on with the Symptoms of Reality guys, it can just become very sort of a lot ambient, maybe ambient, because I think ambient just, for me, I like it because it accepts your mistakes, because you could just say, I meant that. Jazz note, meant that. And reverb covers up a lot of stuff.
But the trouble with ambient is I always want to end up sticking in a funky bass line, a funky synth bass line. Yeah. Something, just want to put something just to give it some, which is really funny. But they're great guys. I love what they're doing.
Yeah.
I love what they're doing.
Yeah, Fish is doing his final tour, and that's where I'm going to see him in. It's one of the last. It's the last but 2 show, I think, because he's doing 2 shows back up in Scotland. His final 2 before he goes crofting in his retirement. But yeah, I can't wait to see that, because I'm a big prog guy. I do like my prog. In fact, I watched Yes. Some absolute legend has uploaded Yes 9012 Live, which is the
125 Live.
No, 12 Live.
12 Live.
It's called 12 Live. They've uploaded the entire DVD onto YouTube.
Isn't that with Tony Kaye?
Tony K on keyboards. I was sat there thinking, I managed to figure out most of it. I got the Hammond wrong. Apparently, there was a Korg CX3. But I got the Kawai electric piano, which was really bugging me because I thought, he's got a CP70, then noticed the curved back, and I thought, that's not. So I was furiously Googling whilst watching that. But what a great band. I'd love to have seen them live at their sort of their peak. But unfortunately, since Chris Squire and Alan have both passed on, and it's just Steve, and John doesn't sing with them anymore, and
I saw Close to the Edge live at Rainbow, at the Rainbow Theatre.
I'd love to.
I saw Landscape live and their Jupiter 8 packed up, which is about 90% of their entire music.
Yeah, that and the MC8, was it? The MC8 they used?
It runs off with it and had to come out with another one.
Wow. Yeah, they're fascinating.
New
bunch.
music, that was another one I was massively into for a long while.
Yeah. Well, interesting. We've got. I'll need to move on, but great question. And we love those sorts of questions when we're in a show like this where we have lots of time. But that was Chris Samurai. Thank you very much indeed for that question. Let's have a look here. Right. We were going to talk about predictions, and we can bring in Nick's questions to that. But before we do that, it is time, ladies and gentlemen, for the first Synthspirations of 2025. And if you're not sure what Synthspirations is, here's a trailer. We want to know what music inspired you to make music with synthesizers. Be it an album, single, or an entire artist's body of work, we want you to tell us why it inspired you, and given that we're a synth show, which instruments used on that album really made an impact. All you need to do is film yourself talking about your synthspiration for a few minutes, and we'll feature it on the show and discuss it. Send your video clips along with your name or handle to prosynthnetwork@gmail.com using a file sharing service like WeTransfer, and you could feature on a ProSynth Network live show soon. It's true, you can. All you got to do is film yourself talking to camera and saying exactly what you feel about the music that inspired you to make music with synthesizers, drum machines, whatever it might be. It can be an album, it can be an artist, it can be a single or a collection of those things. All you got to do is just tell us about it. So this week we are joined by Mr. Joe O'Donnell, and this is his Synthspirations coming up for you right now.
Hello, I'm Joe O'Donnell from Simsbury, Connecticut. I've been playing keyboards, piano for over 40 years. And I want to talk to you about my synthspiration. So my synthspiration occurred back in college. It was right around 1985, 86. And I had my keyboards with me in college. And I was walking around the dorm, and I heard this noise coming out of someone else's room. Not really noise, but I couldn't explain what it was I was hearing. So I walked down, leaned into his room, and I said, "What is this?" And he looked at me, he goes, "It's ELP." I said, "Oh, I know about them. No, but I mean, what is this you're playing?" He says, "Oh, it's their live album, Welcome Back, My Friends." And it was the solo from Hoedown, the Moog solo. And I almost had to sit down. I was so overcome when I heard that, because as you guys know, we never heard anything like that before. And I said, what is this guy doing? So here's Eddie Van Halen before Eddie Van Halen, but on synth. So I said, I have to figure out how to get that sound. I have to learn this solo. So that really started my journey from true inspiration on the synthesizers. I did a lot of piano before that, but I really got into the synths in college. And this really motivated me. So here I am at 60 years old, and there's no way I'm going to get Keith's Moog in here, and neither is anybody else. So no one's going to really get that sound except on that instrument. But we can try because we have the VSTs. So over here in my Studio One, I'm using not a Mini Moog VST. I'm using Vacuum Pro from Air Technologies. And with that, with some reverb, has a pretty good simulation to what Keith was doing in the Hoedown solo. And because it's improv, I don't think we'll get a copyright check. So I'm going to walk over here and have you listen a little bit of what the sound is like. So that's my attempt at Keith's Moog. So the Welcome Back, My Friends was something, like I said, I'd never heard before, and it's always been my aspiration to learn those songs. They'll always be challenging to me, and there'll always be a bar for me to reach. I, of course, was influenced by Wakeman and Tony Banks and people like that, but Keith Emerson always felt had something dear to me because there was no one like him, and he was his own man, and I always appreciated that. So welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. The live album is my inspiration. Thank you.
And thank you, Joe. What a great piece of performance. Excellent. As well.
Yeah.
ELP, has to go down as many people. So, certainly of a particular age. Somebody who might have gone to an ELP gig, for example. Because I was far too young. Who might that be? Anyway. Yeah, no, they're a great band, and Emerson, of course, was a legend. So that's all you got to do. You just do something like that. Whether you do something that's just simple, shows you playing something, talking about something, whether you do a Michael Myers inspired thing, whether you do what Carl Bate did, where he just assembled words on the screen and pictures and a collage of audio and sound, visuals and sound. Just first show of the year. It's a gimme, okay? You can do that. So you can do all that. That's what Synthspirations is. If you want to submit your Synthspirations, all you got to do is film that video, upload it to one of these file transfer services that allow for big files, like WeTransfer is one example you can use. And you can send that to prosynthnetwork@gmail.com. That's prosynthnetwork@gmail.com. Send us that. Make sure you tell us who you are, and maybe even give yourself a little bio description, and then we will play that on the show. Next week, we've got AD Vision with their Synthspirations. Very quickly, I also want to mention that our friend Paulie Alex B has got a brand new instrument. In fact, it's their first instrument for the Decent Sampler. It's a sound pack, and it's available now for just $5. Let me just bring this onto the screen.
This looks good.
Add to stage. There we go. It's called the Dystopia Gallery, and this is on the. This is on Paulie's. I was going to say it was on the Sonic State there, but it's not. It's on Paulie's Patreon. So if you go to patreon.com/Paulie, spelt Paule, Alex Bow, that's where you can get it. I'll put the link up actually in the chat right now. So there you go. And this is for the Decent Sampler plugin, which is completely free of charge. So you can use that anywhere. It's, as you can see there, it's just a small footprint. And I did have a video here. Let's see if this will work. There you go. Dystopia Gallery. Paulie's first instrument for the Decent Sampler is available now from the Patreon page that they've got. And let me just remove this from me. Nice work, Paulie. I've got a copy. Thank you very much indeed. I haven't had a chance to play all the way through it, but it's very nice and atmospheric and a little bit weird.
And cinematic, as he says.
Yeah, absolutely. So, cool stuff. Well done. And, dig in, go and buy that. It's only a £5. I was at $3.99 UK, something like that. It's not too expensive at all. Right, so that's that. Now we were going to talk about our predictions for 2025, which I think would be an interesting thing. So let me just clear the decks here so I don't get confused by anything, because it's easily done.
Did we have predictions last year?
I think we did, but I've been a little bit busy the past couple of days, and so I haven't had a chance to go back and get them. But maybe that's something I can do for next week, is go back and have a look at what predictions we made and whether they came true. So, you know, the music technology world is ever changing, and we have new and wonderful things coming out all the time. So I just thought it'd be interesting to see what we think might happen, whether it's outlandish or maybe based in some facts or knowledge. But obviously, if you're under an NDA, don't say anything. But yeah, anybody want to sort of have a go at predicting what they think will happen, or what they would like to happen, maybe?
I'd have sex with a lady. Let's see what it's like.
I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, I have no idea where that came from.
Oh.
From a music technology, I didn't realise it had to be that
from
specific.
a music
Yeah.
I'd like to be able to play a keyboard in such a way that I'd impress a lady and she wants to have sex with me. Yeah.
Andrew.
I don't want to be a lady. I'd like to see, I would really like to see Yamaha do more with the ANX technology and bring out an ANX keyboard.
Yeah.
Just a solely ANX with controls per function for the whole thing. That would be a wondrous and wonderful thing. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'd love it to happen. I think the other things which I'm really looking at the moment is whether or not any of the solely plug-in manufacturers, solely software, VSTs, manufacturers or developers decide to start getting into any hardware, because that could be really, really interesting. And I think that it's, there's enough cheaper ways to develop now. We've seen that, using Raspberry Pi and whatever, Korg and others have gone down that route and done an amazing job with that. So I think it's becoming more affordable to be able to do that. It's still not cheap. Making hardware is incredibly expensive, just to try and do it, as we've seen.
Don't believe what you hear on the internet.
Don't believe that. But I'd be really interested to see what happens there. I know there's been no confirmation or denial or otherwise, other than don't, but I'd love to see ASM bring out something new and different and lovely.
Yes. Well,
that would be, it's been 5 years now, so I think they're overdue. As ever, I'm keeping an eye on the most ridiculously expensive synths in the world, just about, which is Tom Carpenter's. What his next thing, the 2500 thing that the TC 5000 or whatever he's called it. I really want to see what comes with that, but also some of his smaller things. And
he wants to see Tom's small things.
I'd also like to see Arturia release the keyboard from the PB12 as a standalone controller. That would be a lovely and wonderful thing. And I'm also going to be paying more attention this year to the modular world. There seems to be a lot going on in there, and I think the blending between the two would be quite interesting. So, yeah, as regards plugins, apparently I need to bring back the XL7. Well, I've got it here somewhere. There it is, just down there. Plugins, there's still some way to go to exhaust the what seemed like an endless supply, but it's running out now. But there's a lot of new ways of doing things. That's kind of why the CyDrums thing interests me. I want to see people doing things differently. And, and also, what was the thing we looked at last week or the week before? The hexagonal shaped...
the Redshift 6.
Redshift
Supercritical.
6. That's an astonishing sounding thing. I know everyone was, a bit put out by the price, but it sounds amazing. It sounds really, really amazing. And I think that's sonically for hardware, doing anything which sounds amazing is going to be what I'm looking for. Definitely.
Yeah.
So that's my, I'm not sure if they're predictions or not, but I hope ASM,
Yeah.
Arturia.
Well, that was one of my things. Was will ASM finally release something that isn't a Hydrasynth? I mean, I'm not dissing the Hydrasynth at all. It's an amazing synthesizer, and each version of it is amazing in its own way for its own reasons. But it would just be nice to see them release something new and different. Again, because it's been 5 years? Well, it was 5 years this year, wasn't it? Because they released the silver version. To celebrate that. So yeah, it'd be nice to see something new. They must have been working on something.
Sorry, there was one other thing I wanted to just pick up on as well, which is the Arturia Astro Keys.
Astrolab.
Mm-hmm. That's a platform that has legs. I don't think people have really understood it.
You have to buy the legs. They're separate.
Yeah, I know. I get that. Very good. Very good. I'll leave now. But that's a platform I think has real possibilities, and I think other people will start thinking about that as well. The idea of taking the plugins and putting them into a live piece of hardware, real piece of hardware, which you don't have to have connected to anything to be able to play everything. That's a really good idea. I really love that.
Yeah. Synth Samurai says, do you think ASM will take inspiration from Sonicware and make the Hydra drum? It's funny because I've heard a few people today saying this is kind of what, so be interesting. Maybe have Sonicware beating them to the punch there. I don't know. Who knows? But yeah, it'd be interesting. A Hydrasynth drum machine. I mean, they took the keyboards and revolutionized. I say revolutionized. They reinvigorated the keyboard industry with, of course, Paulie Aftertouch and an amazing sound engine and a fantastic workflow as well. So I'd like to see something new from them. Where was this one here? Arturia Astro FX for FX collection stuff. Oh, so like an effects unit, hardware effects unit. Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's a really good idea.
I'll have a word. That's a good idea indeed. What else have we got here? I had one here from Justin, which I thought was rather funny. It did make me chuckle. Akai released the highly anticipated Tamba Coyote. Very good. Behringer to release a clone of the DX7? Possible. I mean, it's been done. Electribe 3 will come out. You never know. Honestly, Korg have a tendency to do things that we didn't expect.
And actually, Behringer have, their own products, which are not copies of something else. They've done some fairly significant things. I want to see them doing more of that. I want to, they get into some interesting stuff. So, I know, take all the knockers to one side. I'm interested in seeing their own new stuff. They've come up with some really good things.
Justin says, wonder if the multi-poly will make an appearance in Core Collection 6. I don't think it'll come in Core Collection 6, but I certainly think that we'll have a desktop version and possibly even a 61-key version like the others, because the multi-poly has been very successful. It has gone down, has been received incredibly well. Dr. Mike, hello, Dr. Mike. He wants to see an iOS version of the Prophecy, which, again, would be a good thing. And I think now the iPad, certainly the modern iPads, have plenty of processing power to handle that. The plugin on the desktops is now very, very good. It started off a little bit iffy. I think Electronic Composer is right. We probably will see a desktop version of the Behringer Wave, because they did the same with the UBXA, and I think that's almost inevitable, especially as a lot of people have been bemoaning the fact that it's only a 49-key keyboard. Aquatic Borealis, maybe Arturia will release a groove box. They've done drum machines, and no, you can't really call that a groove. So no, it's not something they've actually touched on before. That would be interesting. I mean, lots of people will say, we'd like to see Pigments as a dedicated hardware synthesizer. I'm not entirely sure how feasible that is, because it's a very complex plugin, and it's incredibly good. More Arturia stuff. Astrolab 2 with a Polybrute style interface. That's possible, but I don't think we're going to see that. It's the same reason I
More
don't think we're going to
inputs
see.
as well. Yeah, inputs for routing
Yeah.
real audio through. That would
But
be good.
I
That
don't
would be a
think
goodie.
we're going to see the Polyroot keyboard, because a lot of people would like to see the Polyroot keyboard in just a controller. I still think, and this really is, I don't know about this at all, but I still think that it's such a key selling point of that synthesizer that it might be a shot in the foot to put it into a controller as well. Who knows? We shall see. Wagyu predicts that he's going to buy a Polyroot 12 and a Tasty Chips GR Mega this year. They're both incredible machines, and I still would like to spend a bit more time with that GR Mega, because I played around with it at Super Booth last year, and had a lot of fun with that. Dead Man Walking says GX2, please. Yeah, right. But I agree with you, Andrew, about the ANX engine. I think Yamaha would be absolutely idiotic to ignore the potential that they have with producing a dedicated analog modeling synthesizer, the way they did with the Modi X. Took the FM out. Well, they didn't take the FM out. They took the FM out and kept a lot of the sample-based stuff in there as well. So it's basically a cut-down montage. But I would like to see, can you imagine a CS something or other from Yamaha that is that ANX engine, all on its own with a bunch
CS
of
160 perhaps.
Who knows? Yeah.
Yeah.
But that would be very interesting to see. I personally, I don't know. I'm always a little bit, because unfortunately or fortunately, I do get to see a lot of things in advance, and so I have to be careful, because I kind of know what's coming down the line. So I have to be careful what I say. But I would like to see some more, how should we say, ingenious takes on things that utilize MPE, but utilize it and have it work as well. That would be interesting.
A really good MPE controller at a budgety price. That's why I was saying about the Arturia Polyroot keyboard or something. I know we've already got the Rollies, the little ones, but it'd be nice to have some of that. And MPE's not dead yet.
No, and I think I was talking to Kent about this earlier, weren't we? If you remember, if you go back to 1983 and remember when MIDI first came out commercially, it was all over the place. The Yamaha DX7 is a case in point.
I was there.
Yeah, exactly. So all of these things claimed to be MIDI compatible, but it was Yamaha's interpretation and everyone else's interpretation of MIDI, and eventually it did kind of standardize, and we got this solid platform that has been around ever since. And I just think the same is going to happen with MPE, is that eventually everyone will, it'll all just kind of wash out and just settle down, and we'll get to a point where it is usable, affordable, doesn't require a degree in mathematics to understand.
I've got a question for our lovely audience. Who here would buy the Cherry Audio Anaglyph? The Anaglyph. As a plug-in, it's been talked about for years and years and years as a synth, which still hasn't yet got built, because it's going to cost £1 billion. But
which is why the plug-in is almost certainly the best way to go, because
they haven't made a processor fast enough yet.
Oh, I'm sure they'll work around that.
I'm sure they'll work that one out. I'm sure that would be. I'd buy that. So there's
I'd
one
buy that
person.
for $1.
Anyone else?
Sorry,
anyone else?
I think a lot of people would buy that simply because it's been talked about so much.
Looks like the Voyager 8's getting the love at the moment.
yeah, Voyager 8. UVI do a library, but obviously it's not quite the same as having a modelled one. But I'm just trying to think. Big name manufacturers. So let's think about Yamaha, Korg, Roland. Unfortunately, I think we're just going to see much of the same from these. I'm sure Korg have probably got a surprise up their sleeve somewhere. They generally do. But I think, unless Yamaha do come out with a dedicated modelled analog synth using that ANX engine. I don't think we're going to see huge amounts from
And
them.
wouldn't it be nice to see Roland come out with something sort of groundbreakingly new and lovely? Do you remember when the System 8 came out? Everyone went, what the? It's been a while since they've done anything that groundbreaking and wonderful. It would be nice to see what, if they could come out with something.
Yeah.
It really would.
No, it's difficult these days, really, to sort of make any sort of accurate prediction, because I mean, who would have predicted 12 months ago that we'd have the Polybrute 12 with its full touch keyboard? Yeah, we could have easily said, oh yeah, but up the voice count, yeah, not a problem. But that keybed had been in development for 10 years, and we didn't see it coming. And then some of us saw it coming before we should have saw it coming and told people about it and shouldn't have. But anyway, I think that's, nobody predicted that. I'd like to have another Arturia drum machine myself, because I thought the drum brutes were very good, but I'd like to have something maybe a bit sample based. Who knows? Yeah, I don't know really. It's I'd like to see something new from Kodamo as well.
I'd love to see Kodamo do the mask if they can't reduce the price, because I know it's expensive. It just is. I would have one in a heartbeat, but I'd love to see a cut down version of that or something, because I just love the way the thing. I'd get one in a heartbeat if it wasn't quite so expensive.
I would love to see, and thank you, Justin, have you for he's put in that Arturia Drum Freak, but that's reminded me that the one thing a lot of people, and me included, would love to see is a larger Freak-based synthesizer. So we've had the Micro Freak, we've had the Mini Freak, so the Maxi Freak, whatever you want to call it, but a full 61 key Freak-based keyboard, because they did it with the Brutes. We had the Mini Brutes and the Micro Brutes, then we had the Matrix and now the Polys. So, a Mega Freak or a Maxi Freak or whatever you want to call it.
Or a freaking freak.
Just a freaking freak. But a 61-note freak-based hybrid synthesizer with those digital oscillators and those analog filters and a lovely interface.
With the full touch keys, as John Carter, not John Carter. Dr. Synth
full touch
says.
could be interesting. So that would be an interesting one. Because the Freak engine, especially, the Mini Freak with its update that it got a couple of weeks ago, 30 different engines in that thing. It sounds amazing.
The other manufacturer I'd love to see something different from as well, or something new from, is Moog. I want to see what they do and if they do anything, because that journey has kind of completed, but now it's kind of where do they go next? And I'd love to see them do another Poly that works straight out the box. Maybe a 3 oscillator or 4 oscillator something, but do they? So would it be a Moog if they actually moved over to physical modelling or to analog modelling or whatever? Would it still be a Moog? Could that be done by them?
It'd be a Moog.
Wouldn't it be a Moog?
Well, it wouldn't be a Moog. It would be a Moog.
A Moog, yeah, all right. Well, it might be a Moog, as opposed to a Moog. Yeah.
I don't know. It's one of those decisions. I wonder if under In Music they will make that decision. But up until that point, I would have said no. I think Moog are squarely analog. That's it. But who knows? I mean, I'm sure if Bob was still around and still in that business, I'm sure because he loved digital stuff. He loved the Fairlight. Who knows? If he'd have stuck around long enough. He could have, we could have had digital Moog synths and sampling-based Moog synths and modelling-based Moog synths. But I think that the cachet of being, the original, analog. The OG analog guys.
Yeah.
But where do you go with that? It'd be interesting. We might see some more Moog plugins. That would be, because they do some really good plugins, I have to say.
They do.
And what's the name of the guy who's does a lot of development for Moog? Oh, his name was complete. I was just reading about him today. I'm sure somebody in the chat. He was at Super Booth this year, talking about what he's looking into. Geert, that's it. Geert Bevan. He's got a lot of great ideas. So I think maybe with the money and the sort of the business now, shall we say, of In Music looking to make a buck.
What about a Moog Liberation 2 that doesn't weigh
a metric ton.
like half a ton? That would be interesting.
That'd be interesting.
Doing something new with a portable keyboard.
Our guitars, I don't know.
They're not, but that means no one's done it for a while, so there's room to innovate. That's a space which could be interesting.
I did see a guitar yesterday that it's metal. It's just a folded piece of metal.
Oh, the folded metal guitar with the movable magnetic pickups.
And how it was almost like MPE for guitars. It was that was interesting. I must
Anything
admit.
new from Sequential or Oberheim this year? Do you think? TO5 was the last Oberheim that came out, just under a year ago.
2025 could be the year of laurel resting.
Sequential haven't released a sequential synth, a new sequential synth since the Take 5, I believe. Have they done anything since then?
Could there be an Oberheim 12 voice?
That'd be nice.
A matrix, but the super duper matrix with that actually. Well,
Oberheim Expander, yeah, Matrix 12
or something.
Like that. Yeah,
that would be a good thing.
Yes.
It reminds me, I must get my Pro 3 done.
Yes, we must.
You must.
Yeah, it's I do like this sort of anticipation, and we're getting now because we've got. I know there are going to be some announcements in a few weeks' time because we've got NAMM, and I've got those on my schedule. I can't talk about them, but there are some. There are going to be some. I wouldn't say. Well, the ones I know about aren't like huge, earth-shattering, but there's some very interesting things that are going to be announced in the next few weeks, and then of course, a few months later, we've got Super Booth, and we should expect a raft of stuff.
Will Korg have their Resonator latest incarnation again at Super Booth?
The electromechanical. Yeah. I'm sure they will. I'm sure it will come on. In leaps and bounds since the last one. It's an interesting thing. I mean, I've spent time with it, and I saw it in 23. I saw it again in 24. And it was a good advancement of that, and I just like the fact that Korg are paying for a small group of really flipping amazingly gifted people to work on stuff that isn't even commercially available yet. So don't forget Behringer are going to be at NAMM this year for the first time in like a decade, right opposite the Alan R. Perman Foundation booth, no less. Oh, I wish I was a fly on that wall. So some interesting possibilities, but we shall see. And this is why we enjoyed this, because there's a lot of exciting things that may or may not happen. But one thing I can guarantee you is that we will be talking about them all right here. So stay tuned. And this year, I do hope to get a bit more footage around the event itself. Nick Howes says, what synth would you like to see released this year? He thinks an ACB version of the JP6 would be lovely, and I do tend to agree. I think they should do a plug-in version for sure to go into Roland Cloud. Whether they do a boutique unit, I don't know. But the JP6 is one of those things. I don't know whether it's better than the Jupiter 8. It's different, and it has it. And I don't know whether we've just kind of had enough of the Jupiter 8 that makes the Jupiter 6 seem more appealing. But I would like to see it because
there were some features on the JP6 that weren't on the 8.
Exactly, yeah.
So that was the basis for the MKS, wasn't it? As well, the JP6.
Cherry Audio to do a Voyetra 8, Behringer to do a CZ style synth, a VST of the he goes on this guy, a VST of the FS1R and VL1. I would add VP1 into that, but I just don't think.
Oh God, yeah, that would be good.
I mean, I was encouraged to see the the ESP montage plugin. I'd like to see that go on sale on its own. I don't know how much you charge for it though. That'd be interesting. But it's nice to see that Yamaha have got an instrument plugin that is now pretty decent. But let's bring back some of those classic Yamaha synths in plugin form officially. I think that would be. I mean, there's been lots out there. And see, look, Nick Howes again. I also thought of another VST. I want to see a Korg Oasis. Interesting. Or a Karma, even just something with the Karma engine. But I don't think that's going to happen because I don't think Korg and the guy behind Karma talk much these days.
No, not anymore.
A Z1 in the collection in there. Yes, that would be nice. And then I wouldn't have to pull my one out of its rack. See if Nick's got any more in there before we move on. No, I don't think so. There's nothing there. Right, so Paulie and Synth, yes or no, says Animotion Music. I can't comment because I've not played with one, but my dear friend, Mr. Jason Jervis, thinks it's blooming amazing. So I'll say yes.
I'm saying yes as well.
It's 8 synth engines in one little box for about 400 quid. Yeah.
With that controller and poly aftertouch.
And poly
and all
aftertouch,
that
yeah, absolutely.
It's a bit of a beast.
Indeed. Let's see. We said that we've gone through that one. New synthesizer from ASM says Peter Tatchell's Irrelevant Coffee Table. We've said that. Tamberwolf Coyote. I thought that was funny. Nice one there, Justin. Arturia Groovebox, we mentioned that. I think we've mentioned all of the things. Well, certainly the ones that I found in the chat. So thank you for everyone's contributions here. Keith in Watford, Mr. Observant, says Dr. Mix had a synth undercover at the end of his studio tour video a couple of weeks ago. Any ideas what it might be? Absolutely none whatsoever. I don't know Claudio that well to go and ask him.
It's an anaglyph.
It could be could very well be an anaglyph.
Unlikely.
Unlikely, but would be nice, wouldn't it?
Could be.
A Roland Promars boutique. Yeah, I have mixed feelings about the boutique range. Wagyu is saying a Modal Carbon 8M. That's entirely possible, I'm sure. I think why not? Because they've done it with all the rest. I'm sure that will sell, and I'm sure they need some sales. Justin says Korg 01W in Collection 6 would be nice. So yeah, or even just add those libraries into that sort of M1 engine. That would be interesting. Yes, some interesting things there, but we shall see, and that's the whole point. We've now got 12 months to sort of look forward, and certainly the first half of the year is when everything starts to creep out into the world. So watch this space, and we shall.
I'd
see
like
what
to also
emerges.
just one other. I'd like to see a physical modelling string synth, and not plucked string, but bowed string. No one's done that well yet, and there is real. I really want to see someone doing that. Really
in
want to
hardware.
see that.
In hardware, you mean?
Hardware or in software, but hardware definitely would be nice.
The SWAM, SWAM, they do model strings, bowed strings, and they're very convincing.
Oh, that
very
is
convincing.
yeah, there is that. I'd forgotten about.
It's like
Yeah.
the harmonic stuff, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, the Veer harmonic is kind of a hybrid of modelling and samples, but the SWAM stuff is incredibly
It'd be
good.
nice to see that in hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Put it
But
into a bit harder.
anyway, there we go.
Indeed. Well, we shall see. We've got
I'd
12
like to
months.
see a proper recreation of the RMI.
Oh, yes.
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah. So the only one
Because
I know
at the
of
end
is
of the day, when it comes to all the interesting sounds on
Jar
first two Jar albums, it's the RMI and not the 3300 like a lot of people actually think.
Yeah.
And Wakeman used the RMI extensively for years.
Well, so the only one I know of is the one that my friend did for Reason in a rack extension, which is pretty good. But I've not got any hands-on experience with the original, so I couldn't really compare. But I've seen demos that he's done of the Oxygen stuff that uses it, and
Yeah.
sounds good to me. But yes, something like that would be interesting. If you're going to do clones of stuff, do clones of stuff that that are that's really kind of interesting and worthwhile, not just the meat and potatoes synths, as we say. Meat and potatoes.
Meat potatoes.
Well,
Potatoes.
if we can get a software version of the CS80 that can do guitar 1 and
Guitar
2
1 and
properly,
2, yeah.
and possibly.
Well-
no, am I asking too much for the ring modulator to sound right as well?
Well, let's wait and see. Because
No.
in a couple of weeks' time, we've got Zills Labs
Yes.
B80.
We shall see.
So fingers crossed. You never know. That might be interesting. Yes. Apparently, Sonic Couture make a good version of the RMI.
They
and it's
do.
free.
It's a good version, but it's not.
No.
But are we ever going to get with anything, really? I mean, we're going to get close.
Well, I mean, that famous RMI sound, that bit of software, it doesn't do it right.
No.
But, yeah, it's free and it's not to be knocked. I'm just saying it's not.
He's a fussy bugger, isn't he?
I am. When it comes to the RMI and the CS80, I'm sorry. Either get it right or go away.
Go big or go home.
Yeah, kind of thing.
Anyway, well, look, we've managed to do that thing again where we had absolutely nothing to talk about. We've overrun. It's amazing, isn't it? Maybe every week we should just have nothing to talk about, and we overrun. But let's leave it there. We've had some really good suggestions. Maybe we'll try and pick out maybe last year's predictions and maybe have a look at those next week and see if we got any of that stuff right. And maybe this time next year.
Just summed me up in 3 words.
Yeah, Spong distance runaround. So we'll maybe revisit this in 12 months' time and see how right or wrong we are or were. But yeah, it's an interesting time, and I think we shall have some. I know that we're going to have some very interesting new things happening in the coming months, and there's probably a lot of stuff I don't know about. So really looking forward to seeing what people have got in store. And with NAMM a few weeks away, we won't have to wait long to hear about some of it. So, on that note, thanks to everyone for watching. We've had an amazing amount of people watching the show today. Lots of people, lots of interaction in the chat. Thank you to everyone that has either sat there and watched and or involved themselves in the chat. Don't forget, you can support us in all those different ways. You can come to the merchandise store and do so this month because there's 15% off everything in there, so you can save yourself a few bob. If your nanny or your granddad gave you some Christmas money to spend, what better way of doing that and buying a t-shirt or a cap or a mug or a bottle or a dress or a mouse mat or a dog collar, even, if you're into that kind of thing. You can also support us over at Patreon, patreon.com/ProSynth Network, or you can donate through the YouTube channel. Whatever takes your fancy. You don't have to, but if you do, we love you for it. Don't forget Synthspirations. If you've got a Synthspiration video, send it to prosynthnetwork@gmail.com. Use a file transfer service like WeTransfer just to make sure we get those large files in, and we will feature you and your video on the show. Next week, who knows what next week will bring. It could be anything, it could be nothing. Hopefully it'll be something interesting, and we'll have time to talk about it then. Oh, actually, no, I'll tell you what we've got next week. We've got Dina Perlman. We've got Dina Perlman next week, because Dina's going to tell us all about what her plans are for the Alan R. Perlman Foundation.
Yeah.
With lots of fundraising needed to be done. Of course, we've then got AD Vision's Synthspiration video, and hopefully some news of things that are coming or have arrived. So thanks for that. Make sure you click the like button. Also, give us a subscribe. Make sure you follow the channel, and we will see you all same time, same place next week. Have a marvelous weekend. I hope that this weekend resets everybody's internal clocks and we can get back to normal on Monday. Enjoy that. Straight after this show, you've got Symptoms of Reality with the Popcorn Night, and I've submitted 2 tracks. Maybe one of them will get played, I don't know, but I'm going to go and have some wine now. Symptoms of Reality, they're on tonight. Andy Synchrotron, 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Ramsey, 1 p.m. These are all UK times, by the way. Ramsey, 1 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. You've got Jason jamming in Jim Jams with Jackson at 10 o'clock on Sunday night. Have I missed anyone? Symptoms of Reality do a show every day anyway. I think that's most people. If I've missed anyone, please do let people know in the chat. I've just seen Brian Kehoe in the chat. Brian, mate, I've got to tell you, I watched the Resonator film the other day. You're in it, and the film is so much better for it. But what a film! At the moment, it's only available stateside, so you can only get this on Apple TV and Amazon Prime in the US. But it's a film called Resonator, Resynnator. It is an amazing film made by an amazing woman about her amazing father and the amazing instrument that he almost brought to market, but it never did. But watch this space. And it's just a beautiful, beautiful film. And I'm already talking with Alison, so hopefully we'll be able to get her on the show very soon. And you can see that film, hopefully, globally later in the year. But right now it's only in America. And I wouldn't want to promote ways of getting around geo fencing on such things. But if you can, do so. It's so worth it. Make sure you pay the right money for it. Brilliant film. Watch that. And we will see you same time, same place next week. Thanks ever so much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed the show. I certainly did. I'm off to drink a few glasses of wine. Gentlemen, I will see you at some point soon. Thank you for joining us. Take care, everyone. And goodbye.
Bye.
Au revoir.
Try
Try again. Au revoir again.
I've got Brian's comments still on the screen. It was just like, no, I can't do that. Let's do it again. Bye.
Au revoir.